Camera, 1, 2, 3.
Oh, we good?
Good? You guys are good?
All right, we are live. So, all right. Welcome, guys, to the Sober Weekly podcast, where we represent all platforms of recovery. And today, I got a very special guest. This guy is a marathon runner. This guy has been stabbed in the neck. This guy was also creating his own vegan company at one point. And this guy's got some good stories on the mindset. Not to speak that he's lost over 100, how much was it?
During the 12-week process, it was 100 pounds.
100 pounds in a 12-week process. That is some big commitment and discipline. So we're going to find out how an addict can do that. So I want to introduce James.
What's up, Fausto?
What's your last name?
Malay.
James Malay. That's cool. What is that, like, white?
Yeah, apparently it was O'Malley.
O'Malley.
Until, like, the ancestors or whatever moved over and they had to take that O off.
Why did they have to take that O off?
I have no clue.
No clue?
No.
So, like, are you able to use O'Malley still, or you can't?
No, my last name is Malay, so
Malay.
I do know I have to have a baby boy to keep the last name going, though.
Oh, so you want kids?
Yeah, of course.
That's cool, man.
Family, kids,
nice.
whole nine.
Why do you want kids?
So I can be a father to them and teach them morals and an abundance life through Christ.
That's cool.
It's very important to me.
Were you and your father close?
No, he wasn't. Never a part of my life.
Never part of your life.
No.
So for you, do you feel like you kind of know how to be a good father since you never had that guidance?
Yeah. I always told myself, like, my mom was such an independent woman. She worked 3 jobs to raise me and my brother.
Oh, wow.
Never went without. She always put us first, so I've taken all those tools and things that I seen her do.
Yeah.
And then I seen all the things my father didn't do. So if I can do what my dad didn't do and my mom did, I'll be an amazing father.
Oh, man. I think that's a good approach for sure.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, man, you'll be a good father, especially in recovery. Staying sober, most fathers that are normal, as we call them, they still got their own issues. They still go out on the weekends. They still do some stuff that's not good. That's why these kids don't have fathers around. You don't have to be an addict, but if you are an addict and you are sober, part of our morals to stay sober is to be a good father if we have a kid.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So let's go. I want to talk on, because I feel like a lot of people that are watching this for sure probably have the weight loss thing that you did. I'm sure a lot of people that are probably addicts probably hate themselves or being overweight. They kind of don't know where to start, and they probably like run away from the issue of it with using, and whether it's food addiction, drug addiction. Maybe you can share exactly like what mindset you had to develop to lose 100 pounds in 12 weeks.
So it all started with, I have an older brother, and he's always been into like triathlons and running marathons. He's always been healthy, and I was always the overweight, depressed kid.
How much did you weigh?
The heaviest in my life was like 305 pounds.
305 pounds.
Yeah, but when I started the transition, it was 257 pounds.
Okay.
So, I'm talking about these 12 weeks right here. So basically, my brother and his friends started a nonprofit called Road Warriors. And it's basically they run long distances to raise money for cancer patients. So when they were getting ready to set off on their journey to run across the country, went to a barbecue and I met this kid that was really thin, and he was a cyclist, and he told me he used to be my size. And I said, how'd you do it? And he said, through raw foods and just cycling. And I was like, all right. But I also thought, because I was already an addict before this happened. So
when did you start your addiction?
I got heavy addiction like after the stabbing. It started with the pain pills and all that stuff, and then it just led into deeper and darker things, so, but, going back to that, I never believed in myself. I hated myself, who I was. I never thought I was like good looking, I was a self-mutilator, I was bulimic, I was all this stuff, and I just knew there was something better within me. So I was like, what's the first goal that I can set so high that people are just going to be like, yeah, like, you're an idiot. Like who thinks they can lose 100 pounds? And because my first original goal was 10 weeks, but it took 2 extra weeks to get the 10 pounds off. But so as I went into it, I was like, I'm just gonna eat raw fruits and vegetables. That's it, and I'm gonna start running. Man, the first week was tough, and like I had to go into it with the mindset of like I can't go back to that lifestyle. You know what I mean? Because I knew Jesus had something better for me. So, with that said, I put down the cigarettes. You know, I put down the pizza, put down everything. I did a juice cleanse for a week. You know, my first week was just juicing, and I couldn't even run a quarter mile without stopping, huffing and puffing, getting shin splints, all that stuff. But just my brother, you know, he always pushed me, you know, because he's seen it within me. I was just, honestly, I found a way to take all my negative, all the past, all the haters, people, like just all the down parts of my life and turn them into fuel for a better me. And along that process, those 10 weeks that when I was going through that, like, I didn't realize like the powerful message that would be behind that, because I didn't lose 100 pounds in the 10 weeks. It took 2 extra weeks, but I can't stress enough to like try and share with people, like, just because you fall a little short on a goal, just keep going, because it's right around the corner. Yeah. I was so happy that I didn't, you know, I fell short, but I picked my, you know, I didn't fall. I kept going, and it eventually came off.
Yeah, it's like they say, it's only a failure when you quit.
Exactly. Yeah. And I had to, it's funny because like I became a self-motivator for myself. You know, I did this all on my own, like praying and fasting, all that stuff. You know, I didn't have someone there holding my hand. You know, my brother, I love my brother to death, but God forbid I can squeeze some information out of him. You know, so I had to pick up little bits and pieces along the way and try things out my own way. You know, and that 12-week process is a big reason why I have the mindset I do today. You know, I wouldn't trade that for nothing. You know, I wouldn't trade my weight for nothing. My weight is the reason I'm still alive.
Wow. No, that's powerful that you say that, because, no, you're right. You know, to do something like that, you need to develop that positive self-talk, that face your fears, you know, and use it to feed it, and look back at yourself and be honest. Like, you know, like you said, I'm a fat piece of shit, and I hate myself, and I have low self-worth. What am I going to do to change it? Because nobody else is going to help me. The only person that's going to help me is myself. Yeah. And like you said, in like trial and error, you know, you don't know if this is going to work. You don't know if what you're doing is actually going to work. Oh, my mindset, this is the right mindset to have. You don't know that, because no one's going through what you're going through that's around you. Yeah. So you're just running with it, sounding crazy maybe to some people, but it's trusting like this is going to work, and just move forward with it.
All I know is the feeling that I got from going through that, it was such an amazing feeling, and I didn't want it to stop. But I learned to find a comfort being uncomfortable. Yeah. You know, if that makes any kind of sense. Like putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation, but learn how to find comfort in it. Yeah. You know, because life's uncomfortable.
What did you do? Was there like something you said in the back of your head to accept that uncomfortability? Like, was there like a quote that you would use, or like, what was it?
For like in that process, I was getting heavy into, you know, Andrew Carnegie and Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and so I started like, you know, I tell myself like I can't finish, like I got a couple miles, I'm in pain, but then I remember whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. So instead of thinking that, I realized that I figured out running is more of a mental game when it comes to long distances on my own, through my own experiences, because what I was feeling with my physical, my knees, my joints, all that was already broken, and that was when I was a lot heavier, like during like 5-mile runs. But I had a vision. I was just focusing on like my mom's house. Like I can get to my mom's house. I got like 2 miles left, and next thing you know, one foot in front of the other, I made it to the house without stopping. That's my main goal. Like, I don't care if it's slower, but I refuse to just stop running.
No, that's awesome. You know, anybody that's watching this too, if you've heard of David Goggins, that's a good person to check out.
You know what's funny, dude? I listened to David Goggins for a long time, studied him, and I didn't even know who he was till like last year. And I was at the gym. He's like, "You got to get on some David Goggins." So I turned to him. I'm like, "Wait, hold on, I know that voice." Yeah, it's good stuff. You know?
Yeah, that guy is the definition of someone who has a terrible life, that you could switch it up by like the positive self-talk and the running aspect of it, of him using that and motivating himself and getting uncomfortable daily and getting honest with yourself, you know, the accountability mirror, say what you're not good at and the type of person that you are, and own it, and then start working towards changing that.
100%. I never, like, that's what I did. I started working on things I never was good at. Could never do a pull-up, could never do a push-up. couldn't run a mile. I focused on those 3 things like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Dominated in push-ups, pull-ups, and running.
Wow.
You know,
And
not the fastest runner, but I guarantee my heart will stop before I stop.
That's cool.
I know that.
What's the most miles you've ran?
50.
50.
Yeah, straight. And that wasn't even in that was on my own journey.
Yeah.
Out here in California, you know, and like I literally like, you know, I talked about before, like there's no wand what time you can go to bed, what time you can get up.
Yeah.
I don't care if someone tells me I'm crazy. I'm getting up at 2 a.m. I'm going for a run. You know, I'll never take back those moments running down PCH, cops looking at you because it's so early. They don't like you know, you're in black Nike dry fit. They don't know what's going on.
Probably think you're a tweaker.
You know, I was so high on the, you know, just get like, just there's just something so empowering about like your like blood, sweat, and tears before like while people are tossing and turning in their sleep.
Yeah,
and it's not in an egotistical type of way. It's you're working on yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you're spending that time building that relationship with God. Like all the like that's why prayer and fasting is so important as well. Important as well.
No, yeah, I'm a 100% believer on that. You know, I've done a 10-day cleanse on like a spiritual vacation, and I felt that. And I think it's more for people who are not too big on spirituality. Is you are basically how would you say, you're starving the body to a point where you get to a state of mind mentally where you're just so present, and you start to kind of like understand things about yourself, because whatever's going on in your brain, it starts like sending these messages. So you're right, you develop who you are, and you start to see who you're not. So I'm a big believer on that for anybody that's confused with their image or what they should do next, you know, especially in recovery. You know, we're dopamine fiends, and like do weird shit, do some crazy shit. Like you said, you run, man, because it's a mental high. We challenge yourself. You wake up at 2 a.m. because everyone else is asleep and I'm running, and it's like this mental fuck of just like I'm doing something people don't do, and it's giving me this high, and this high creates oxytocin, and oxytocin is what fights off the addictive behaviors in the brain. That's what you have to do, because if you're dry in your recovery, you're going to relapse. And that's just a fact, you know, and you have to face that. You know, you see people who are miserable in recovery. It's not the sobriety's miserable. They're just miserable because they're not putting in the effort, you know, they're settling for what they are. And, you know, it gives recovery a bad name for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's go. I want to talk about, you know, the stabbing, you know, you got a mean old scar on your neck.
Yeah. Actually, I love this story actually, because I didn't know it took 10 years for me to reveal like why I came back and the whole reason behind it. But the stabbing, I was 16 years old, and my brother invited a coworker, you know, out to a party, and we went to the party, and the kid that we brought to the party was saying some, you know, not so like, you know, some like racial type jokes, you know, and these guys were getting upset and told him to, you know, calm down. And then it just escalated from there. And because from their view standpoint, like he was with us, you know, so like we're considered a group together. And one thing led to another. The kid my brother whipped out a switchblade, and the other kid stood up and he whipped out an extension billy club, and he starts hitting it on the ground. He's like, "Oh, what's up?" You know, and I literally turned around for 1 second. I don't know who threw the first punch, but all I know is there was just like a riot going on in the house. But I can just hear someone scream at the top of their lungs, and I was like, it sounds like that's my brother's voice. I turn around, and like all I see is his back, and then like him go out the front door. But his back was completely wide open. You know, they took the knife from his top right shoulder all the way down to his left butt cheek, and then vice versa. Yeah, so he was completely wide open, and I went into shock. So I run outside, and I'm like, you know, like, who stabbed my brother, this and that? And they're like, yo, we got your brother. And I'm like, all right, cool. So they're like, go to JFK at the hospital back home. So I'm looking for my friend's truck, and it's in the front yard. So I start running, but as I'm running this way, there's a dude running this way, and we bump shoulders, and we turn around and look at each other, and he has a knife in his hand. He's like, oh, blah, 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 what's up? And I was like, I'm not even thinking about that right now. I'm like,
Think about your brother, right?
I've never seen some stuff like that, you know? Like, I'm thinking my brother's dying. Whoa. So I turn around and keep going. I didn't get like but 3 feet, and I just felt someone grab me from behind the neck, and he literally, you know, it's a big hook. My eyelid was cut out. So it goes from here, behind my ear, all the way down here. He cut my jugular and carotid artery. And as if that wasn't enough painful enough, I didn't even know what happened until I seen the blood, because it was such an intense cut.
Oh my gosh.
So once I realize that, I run over to my friend's truck, and I try to get into the passenger side, and it's locked. And then I could just see, like, out of the corner of my eye, like, a stampede coming towards me. It was like 5 or 6 dudes, and I get knocked flat out into the yard. And so I'm laying there, 16 years old, crying for my life, being stomped and kicked in the face, still being attacked, like the knife still swinging. I didn't know what to do but cry and scream. You know what I mean? Like, beg for my life. I don't care how people take that, but you'd be put in a situation like that. I didn't know what to do, but all I know is that some people pulled them off, and I got thrown in that truck. And so on the way to the hospital, we're in this little black truck, and I'm starting to pass out, because when you cut your jugular, like, you're like, there's like minutes in seconds, you know? And so we're driving down the road, and my friend is like, when I got the video back of this, like, it was like a murder scene. Like, my whole, like, imprint of my face was on the window, because, like, he was punching me and, like, taking my head and smacking it back and forth, because I kept passing out.
Yeah. But
we got to the hospital, I get out, and there's already a blood trail, because my brother beat me to the hospital. So that's when I entered into the lobby, and that's when I had nothing left. Like, I was drained. So I fall on my back, and then all the surgeons come. Someone runs up and throws a rag into my neck, because my neck was literally wide open.
Oh,
like, it was like, it's a deep scar. Mm-hmm. And but then they sedated me, and apparently sedation is like medically paralyzed. So I'm laying there on my back, bleeding out, all my clothes cut off of me. And the only way I can describe it is when you try to go underwater, when you go underwater and you try to come up for air, I wasn't coming up for air. That's exactly how it felt. And there was that, there was a certain time when I realized that I can't get no one's attention. I can't blink. I can't move. I can't talk, and I can't breathe. And it's not, I know what it's like to actually experience to, like, this is it. I'm dead. And I didn't even have a relationship with God. And the last thing out of my mouth probably wasn't so nice to my mom, you know? And
what were you thinking in that moment?
Childhood memories with my mother, you know? I grew up in a single mother home. I just literally, like, had these reoccurring, like, all these, you know, like, just a quick video clip. All these memories with my mom. My mom's everything to me, you know? And I did nothing but treat her badly for a long time. But, you know, I talk to her to this day. You know, she tells me, you know, I need to forgive myself, because she already forgave me. But anyways, going back to that, so I flatlined like 5 times, and I had to get trauma hawked to another hospital. And I was dead for over 2.5 minutes. The only reason I'm alive is, one, because the veteran that was in the trauma hawk on the way there, because they'd given up on me, the rest of the crew, and he said, this kid's too young. We're gonna pump him until his heart until he literally explodes. Like, I don't care. And sure enough, right before we landed, like, I literally, like, gradually started getting a heartbeat, you know? And I had 9 hours of intense surgery, you know, lost like over 60% of my blood.
Wow.
Yeah. And,
wow.
You know, fell into a stroke during surgery. You know, I had some heavy angels there that night, because the doctors told me there was no medical reason I should be here, you know? And you think I would have learned my lesson, you know, but that was only the beginning of my demise. You know, and I had a friend that was sliced 5 times in the back, but I got the worst of it. I'm the one that has to look in the mirror every single day and learn to cope with it, you know. But
I think what you have actually is badass, though. You know.
No, I appreciate it, but if you don't mind, the whole reason, because you know, I was under the care of God the whole time. I just wasn't like clicking in my mind the whole reason that happened. That had to happen for me to come back and teach people about forgiveness. You know what I mean? I'm not, like, for a long time, I didn't want to forgive this person, you know, until I realized what, you know?
So how did you forgive this person?
Because I realized, like, what a selfless act God did, you know? You know, he sent his only son down here to die of our sins, knowing what he was going to go through, come back 3 days later and forgive, you know? And the way I look at it now is that I'm not gonna let anything on this earth. I don't care what the situation, who's taken, who's this or that. All I know is that the first thing I will do is honestly forgive them and forgive in my heart as well. I won't stop talking about it enough. You know, it's very important, forgiveness. It's so important. You know, because if you can't forgive, he can't forgive you in front of his own father.
Amen.
You know?
So for you, how did you approach the forgiveness on this person that stabbed you? In case people out there are dealing with the same situation, because that is a heavy story. Is like, I think people don't understand probably like what it takes to even do that.
Well, the way I look at it is kind of so now I can look back and say like if someone is going through that, and I'm totally willing to like share my experiences with that, but I try to tell myself like I'm not gonna let something like that, you know, something that demonic, that dark, anything dictate my eternal life. You know what I mean? Because life's so small, but like, you know what I mean? Like, what are we gonna do? Like, where are we gonna spend our eternal life? So, if that thing that I don't forgive plays a role in my eternal life, like, there's like, what's the point? You know what I mean? But the way to approach it is, I don't know where people's faith is or like where they're at with God, you know, at this present time. But the first thing I would suggest is get to know God, build a relationship, because it's very important, you know, through my experiences and all that.
How did you build your relationship with God? I know sometimes people hear that and it's kind of hard to understand. People have different views on it. Some people get like scared about going that way, you know?
Yeah.
How would you describe building a relationship with God?
So basically, like, when I was a kid and all that stuff, like, yeah, I believed in God, but I didn't understand the relationship. You know, I thought like just believing going to church, that was enough. But like obedience, you know, being obedient to God, you know, living in forgiveness, living in love, love thy neighbor, love thy enemy, you know, having faith, you know, because faith without works is dead. You know what I mean? And like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're gonna have to go on your own journey with God. You know what I mean? Like, someone's gonna have to plant the seed somewhere, but just start. You know what I mean? There's no right or wrong way in the beginning. But once you start to develop that relationship, then it's time to get into the Word, start understanding, teaching, because it's not about believing in God and going to church and doing this. It's about, he says, be imitators of him. You know what I mean? Wake up, put on that body armor of Christ so you have a better chance, you know? You pray for the flesh and rebuke the spirits, you know? And, but yeah, just say hi to him. Just pray, you know? And just start it off like that. And you have nothing to lose but everything to gain.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And like for people too that are out there, like, you know, when they say building a relationship, think about like a real relationship.
Exactly.
You know, you're not going to know God the first night in a week. It's like a relationship between two people. It takes time, you know, figure them out, you know, what works, what doesn't work, you know, and then just having that faith, which is courage. And just seeing how it plays out. Because people that maybe have a hard belief with that, it's like, you know, there's different things out there. You believe in Buddha, you believe in Allah, you believe in the universe, you believe in energy, karma. It's all the same thing. If you want to start off with that first, it's knowing that these are the things that be a good person. And if you are a good person, you will attract good things in your life, you know, and the Bible has that, you know, Proverbs, just tons of stuff. It's common sense.
Yeah, for sure. Could I, a little storyline real quick?
Go for it.
Okay. So, I try to explain to people that like maybe have a hard time struggling. So I'm like, so say you have this family man, right? He's a great guy, did all these great things in here on earth. But you know, he went to church and all that stuff, but he never got to, like, he never built that relationship. He never took the time to get into the Word, to actually understand it, you know, and do, you know, what God has asked him to do. But he's a good man, you know, and he dies, and God says to him, "Depart from me, I never knew you." And he's like, "But God, like, I've done all these great things, I have charities, all this stuff." It's like, "I know, but you never took the time to get to know me. You never built that relationship, you know? It doesn't matter, so to bring it down to earth, it's like, say someone comes and knocks on your door, right?
I like this one. Yeah.
and you open the door and like they show up, they're like, oh hey, listen, my girlfriend or someone just left me, I'm having problems, like he's in a tuxedo, I swear I'm a good dude, like can I just like stay for a little bit until I figure things out? Like, no, I don't know you.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
But if that was your cousin or a good friend, odds are you probably have a better chance. Coming in. And that's the way I like to look at it with things. And so taking the time to get to know him, praying, fasting, wisdom, knowledge in the Word, it's where it's at.
Oh man, I think that's beautiful the way you explained it. I agree with all that. I agree with your forgiveness, on the aspect of forgiveness, because one thing I always share, because you forgave someone that stabbed you, almost killed you. For people, I tell them too, like I forgive somebody who molested me on multiple occasions, different people. I was able to forgive them, and that's something that I like to share, because a lot of people go through that, and a lot of people are ashamed of that. So I'm letting you know right now, I forgave those people. I didn't want to, I didn't understand it, but I did. And because of me doing that, I have the best life I've ever had, and that's me being honest with integrity. Every aspect of my life is good because of that forgiveness. And I understand it now, and being able to help other people, like you said, having that understanding of like, this is supposed to happen to me. So I can help spread hope for people that are going through it,
Exactly.
Something out there knew that we were stronger than others, individuals. So we're going to have you suffer so you can lead others out of suffering. And just having that mindset and programming your brain to believe that, man, is power. It is power, because like you said, we live one time in life, and you really want to have resentments towards people. No matter how bad it is, it doesn't matter. You can't change the past. And if you carry that with you, it will carry into your friendships, into your relationships, with your family, it's going to ruin every single thing. And that is a fact.
Yeah.
That is a damn fact. And that's why I think a lot of people in recovery relapse. A lot of people in recovery are still sad too, because there's still more to it. The drugs and the alcohol was not the problem. It was the solution for what the problem was. And the problem is, get honest. What happened to you? Get honest with it. Don't be ashamed. Share it. There's nothing that you have gone through that someone has not gone through. We've been here for thousands of years. People have gone through what you've gone through, and they found a way out, So I'm a big believer on that.
100%.
So for the final questions, I ask these questions for everybody. What I want to ask you is, what is something weird that you've done because of your addiction? Something weird, strange, maybe you're ashamed of, but let's share it so people can kind of feel, that they're not the only one going through that.
Something like weird or?
I mean, okay, like I always start off by saying I've done some weird stuff, I always tell people I got like one, I've shared two already. Trying to think something weird.
Yeah, give me an example.
I remember getting to a point of, let's see, man. Got a lot of weird shit. Trying to make sure I don't re-say it. Something weird. I would end up, getting so coked out of my mind from coke and speed. For too many days, you enter a state of psychosis, right? And it's a state of psychosis, man. And I would end up like at a sex shop, dude, and end up buying like a ton of sex toys. Like, I think I spent like $700 one time going there. I ended up not knowing where the fuck I'm in a motel, butt naked. The whole motel is flooded. Probably like 4 inches of water throughout the whole motel, and I'm butt naked. I'm on Backpage looking at some weird ass porn that probably people don't normally look at, and I'm just in the psychosis, and I'm talking to myself, and I'm like, just at the scenario of it, there's a bunch of freaking vegetables all in the room, you can kind of have an open mind to what I'm trying to say by that, just weird shit. And the reality is I was by myself in there for like 3 days. That's, I tell people, it's the addiction. It's not us. If we just get into these weird things and we do weird shit,
Well, I like to play the therapist when I'm high, so.
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Weird. So I got paid and I had about $2,000, like $1,500, somewhere around there, right? So I was in a sober living and I was tweaked out, right? And so I was like, I gotta get out of here. So this is when before Backpage got like expunged. So
I heard about that. I did.
So yeah, I set off on my journey for the day. You know, I'm like, I'm gonna go check out a hooker or something.
Yeah.
So I take an Uber to Anaheim actually, and I come out here and you know, I'm not gonna get into the details, but
the hooker was a dude. The hooker was
no,
a
that's not the
dude.
story. No,
Did you suck him off?
Listen,
It off.
listen.
What?
So I realized that like it wasn't working because I was so high, right?
Oh, and like, get hard.
Yeah, so I was like, "Are you cool with just like talking?" You know what I mean? Like lay naked on the bed or something, and like we'll just chat. So I was like, "So how long? Like when did this all start?" You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
I was like, you know, I see better in you. You know what I mean?
God,
Like,
yeah.
like I went
Yeah, I
from
know what
that.
you mean,
She's
yeah.
like, yeah, you're pretty cool. I'm like, yeah, take another hit. Yeah, you know? And then, but it didn't stop there. I was like, this is pretty fun. You know, I'll try and, you know, get hard at the next hooker. So
Yeah.
I took an Uber to Costa Mesa.
This is the same day.
The same day.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah. I spent my whole paycheck bouncing from Uber to doing the same exact thing. And
Yeah.
I got home at like 10 at night, like broke, you know? And the last one stole my stash.
Wow. So you had multiple hookers that you became a therapist for, and
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the last one stole your stash.
Yeah.
And you had no money.
Yeah.
No, man. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure a lot of people have been through that. You know, have you ever thought about becoming a therapist now?
I really want to be a motivational speaker for Jesus Christ.
Okay.
You know, planting seeds.
Yeah.
But like, I know what, like, not that I fully know, but I know God has called, like, I felt it for a long time, you know, especially with, like, you know, the self-mutilation, bulimia, drug addiction, you know, overweight, not believing in myself, and, like, taking the courage to move across the country and not knowing it, just all I had was faith to rely on. So yeah, I do want to be like a life coach, you know.
You do good.
I do want to
sure.
travel. I want to speak, you know. I want to teach on forgiveness.
Yeah. Oh,
There's a lot of
dude.
things, you
Hey,
know.
if you do that, I'm with you on that. I will help you in any way
100%.
possible.
Yeah. So, and I was happy. Like when I first met you, and we went on that run. I felt like I was talking like to myself because like the mindset that we do have, and it needs to be a lot of it needs to be exercised within more minds.
Well, I appreciate that, man, for sure. Because again, too, that run was meaningful for me too, to meet somebody also in recovery too that kind of has that that mental state of mind, you know. So I appreciate that just as much as you do.
Yeah, man.
So 3 books. If you can name 3 books in your recovery that have helped you stay grounded, what were those, and why?
3 books in my recovery.
3 books.
For my story.
Yeah, just say.
Just honest.
Yeah, any 3 books.
The Bible.
So the Bible, power book.
The power book. Hold on. So the Bible.
Yeah, you've already said that.
I know. It's all in here. Okay. Yeah, I don't.
You don't know? What about like self-help book, motivation book, maybe a vegan book, a weight loss book?
Okay, yeah. So the Bible.
Yeah.
Blessed in the Darkness.
Blessed in the Darkness.
Okay, and then my fruit and vegetable book.
And my fruit and vegetable book.
That's my jam right there.
Cool. Is that about eating vegetables or using
No,
vegetables?
it's basically it's got every fruit and vegetable in it, and
Okay.
it breaks down every single thing into it.
You like cucumbers?
I love cucumbers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know they're used for more than just eating, right?
I've heard.
It's my character defect.
I seen you at the grocery store.
Right, I'm scared.
Wow.
I will not walk by those aisles. The other day I had to grab one out of, I think Lonnie bought some, and we had to cut them. I felt very insecure cutting these, you know?
Yeah.
Very insecure.
But no, on a real note though,
Yeah.
the Bible, The Secret, and Blessed in the Darkness.
The Secret, Law of Attraction, man. That is a beautiful book too.
Yeah.
I'm about that.
Trying to think, I figured out a way to like, because The Secret talks a lot about the universe and stuff. So
The law of
going into
attraction,
it with
yeah.
the Lord and replacing the universe with
God, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, that works.
It all works the same,
Yeah. Whatever you need to do to kind of help your belief grow stronger. You know, if you even have to compare certain things, you see it works.
Yeah.
Well, my last question for the addict that is still suffering, what piece of advice would you want to have for them?
That's still suffering right now. It's not too late. Pick yourself up, and no matter where you're at, just no matter if you still got a heartbeat and just an ounce of faith somewhere deep in you, don't care where it's at, some little light in there that you're gonna have to go through some heavy shit to get better, but it's not worth losing your life over. And I realized that this last time, you know. But yeah, just never give up on yourself, you know.
No, I love that, man. You know, that's going to change a lot of people's lives, what you said and your story, man. And it's going to, man. And I know you're going to do a lot of big things in life, man. Just stay sober. Remember that everything happens to you for a reason, that there is people that care about you, man. There's people that care about you, and just know that if you can see it in your mind, then it will happen, man.
Yeah.
Everything around us happened because of a thought. So why can't your thought become a reality? Thank you so much for being on this show. I appreciate you, man. And
it's an honor.
Let's go run that half marathon this Saturday.
Let's do it.
All right, man. Thank
All right.
you.
Good stuff. All right, brother.
Oh, yeah. All right.
That was fun.
I'm next. Oh, man. So should I go on that side? Because I'm like...
I don't know. Is that not that?